Hello everyone and welcome. Just a quick video today just to hopefully help you with farming prototype gear, because a lot of people are doing it wrong, and I know that because of all the comments and the feedback I'm getting from people. You're not happy about the drop rate, yet you're not farming it right, and your attention, I believe, is in the wrong area right now for probably where you are at the game. But I'll explain what I mean in this video, because prototype gear, the drop rate isn't that bad really. We were averaging over 5 prototype pieces per hour yesterday when we were streaming, and that wasn't even doing it the most efficient. We're farming or aiming for high tier runs where it drops mainly, but still we could have been more efficient and got even more to drop. So let me explain. Now, a lot of people that are saying prototype gear isn't dropping, it's too rare, they need to increase it. What I'm finding is most people are farming, and they are farming like these escalation missions, and they're doing it at real low tiers. So there could be tier 0 that you're doing it on, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and you're farming these low tiers hoping that it's going to drop. You're not going to see a lot of prototype gear on those tiers. You're just not. Now, some people are. You are getting lucky, which is great because it can drop. Don't get me wrong, it can, but it's very unlikely. I'd say anything 4 or below, I wouldn't farm or use as a farm for prototype gear. I'd use these tiers as a way to engage where you're currently at with the content for sure. But if you can't get to tier 5, I wouldn't be worrying about farming prototypes. There's going to be more you can do with your time to get you in a position where you can then reach tier 5 and beyond in escalation to farm prototypes. And that's how you want to see it. That's a mindset that you want to have. So try and get to tier 5. If you get to tier 5 and you can farm that quite comfortably, then yeah, that's kind of like a sweet spot. You are going to see prototype gear when you farm tier 5. Now, not every run, but it will drop. We've had plenty drop at tier 5. Now, if you can go a step above to tier 6, that's even better. A tier 6 escalation farm won't only drop prototype gear more regular, but it will also drop you exotic components, which is a very valuable resource. You get 1 exotic component per clear on that. So if you can farm that efficiently, you're going to get exotic components, field recon data, shade calibration, and the chance of the prototype drops, which is increased again, because prototype drops on escalation are going to increase in tier. So if you can then get to tier 7, tier 8, tier 9, tier 10, that's where you're going to see a big increase in your prototype drops. However, they're much harder up at the higher tiers. So it's going to take you longer to be ready to farm those high tiers for prototype, if that makes sense. So you want to find your comfort spot. So what I'd say is, if you are struggling and you're about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or even tier 4, and this is where you're at. Tier 4 might not be the worst farm, but I will wait until tier 5. I would more focus on getting a build and getting ready to farm that extra tier. Try and get to 5 at a minimum to farm prototype gear. If you do that, you're going to have much more joy, okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, most people that are farming this at the minute and they're trying to farm and they're not getting the drops, it may be that when you go into your menu and you go into your expertise, you're not even expertise level 30 yet. If this is the case, then your focus is in the wrong place. Prototype gear should not be your focus right now. Right now, what your focus should be is getting your expertise levels to level 30, because until you've done that, you're not going to really be able to take advantage of prototype gear anyway. When you get the prototype gear, you're more than likely going to deconstruct it. That is going to give you prototype cores, and then the prototype cores you're going to use to turn your current gear into prototype gear. But you can't do that until you've expertise level 30, because what you've got to do is you've got to go onto a piece of gear and you've got to make this level 30 before you can upgrade it. So that's got to be your focus right now. And at the time of recording this video, if we go into the seasonal menu and if we go into the events, next week you have a proficiency XP event. So if you're not level 30 expertise yet, this should be a huge focus of yours right now. Forget about prototype gear. Next week you want to be farming this. You're going to be able to make things proficient at 3 times the rate. And what you want to be focusing on is a resource which is called printer filaments. If we go into the watch here, printer filament is the best resource to make items proficient, and next week it's going to be 3 times value. I'll be focusing on capping out my printer filament right now, so next week when it lands, I've got a full stack here to invest into it. And if I've got watch levels in scavenging, I can invest my printer filament into expertise, and then I can reinvest with scavenging points back into printer filament and go again. That should be your biggest focus. You're going to get some large upgrades on your expertise, and if you are new to the game and you're thinking, what am I on about here? If we go into the the expertise station, I'll show you what I mean. I need to do a rifle. So if I go and find a rifle that I haven't done yet and I need to make it proficient, so the trader here, I can research this. I can donate materials. Printer filament is the cheapest one to donate, so I can keep on doing this, and I can use printer filament all the way. It's going to get it to level 10. Well, next week with this event, like I said, it's going to be worth 3 times the value, so you're going to get it to level 10 without using as much resource as I did. I was capped out at printer filament there. It took it from 9999 down to 6999. It costs 3,000. It's only going to cost 1,000 next week. So for what I just did there, next week you're going to be able to do 3 items with it, and the more items that you're able to do with it, the faster your expertise is going to go up. Do you get what I'm saying here? So get your printer filament up, spend it on expertise. Once you've done that and you've used all your printer filament, you can come back here, and any watch levels that you have, you can get your scavenging points. You can reinvest back into printer filament like this, and that'll max your printer filament out again, and you can go again. That has to be your focus right now if you are not expertise level 30. Now, once you are expertise level 30 and you're ready to start upgrading, that's when you're going to want prototype cores. And you want to farm, like I said, tier 5's a sweet spot, tier 6 if you can. You don't need prototype builds to farm that, lucky enough. You just need a decent build. Now, I've already prototyped the build that I'm going to recommend to you here, but this is my Blue Striker build. I've recommended this on so much content before. Such a good build. It's a Palisade chest piece with crit chance, crit damage, armor, and obliterate. It's 4 striker pieces. 3 have blue cores, 1 have red. I run it with the blue core mask with crit damage, and then I've got blue core gloves with crit damage, blue core knees with crit damage, and then a red core holster with crit damage with the memento backpack. I normally go to St. Elmo's on this build. I've switched out recently because I got a Proto Lexington, but St. Elmo's on this build. Doesn't need to be prototype at all. If you're running that build with a 6 skill tier Crusader shield on solo escalation, you should be able to get up to tier 5. Tier 5 might be quite difficult, so you might need a friend. You might want to matchmake. Matchmaking's horrible. Join our Discord, try and find someone to farm with. But I think this build on escalation, like I said, not prototyped, should be able to get you definitely till 4, hopefully 5. And yeah, at that point, you're going to want to try and get your prototypes. And don't forget to also do your incursion as well. If you matchmake for Paradise Lost each week, there's 2 prototype cores there. But once your expertise level 30 and you do start getting those prototype to drop, you can then upgrade your builds and they get a bit more powerful, and that'll make the grind even more easier, because once you start getting a few prototype cores or prototype pieces, you can then go back into escalation being a bit more power, and they'll make that tier 5 grind easier, and so on. So it's a bit of a journey like that. So depending where you are at, you've just got work to do. But once you do that work, you start getting a bit more powerful. All of a sudden, the higher tiers will be easier to farm. All of a sudden, you'll be seeing a lot more prototype drops. So that's kind of what you're aiming for. Like I said at the start of the video, if you're not farming tiers 5 upwards, I wouldn't really bother on the ones below that. Yes, they will drop, but they are much rarer. That's why you're not seeing them. Your focus should be on getting strong enough and comfortable enough to farm tier 5 plus. At that point, you'll see prototype drops. I guarantee you. Still RNG, there'll be those runs without them, but you'll see a lot more of them. Hope this video has been helpful. Drop a like, drop a comment, hit subscribe, and come watch our streams. We're doing this, and we can show you how we're doing it and how many drop. We were doing something the other day where, this weekend, that we are counting all of our prototype drops. So we're counting the community drops. So have a little challenge who can drop more. And like I said, we are averaging over 5 per hour. Doesn't sound a lot, but if we were just to focus on prototype, I reckon we could get that up to about 10 an hour, probably, to be more efficient. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope the video has been helpful. Until next time, take care.